enterprise tier 1 short code texting. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go through some slides. We'll go through the slides rather quickly so that we can spend a good amount of time on the user interface and actually see some of the new features that we've been talking a lot about, and discuss, and then have some questions at the end of it. So we'll try to have all of that be a part of this session. So the title of it is Enterprise Tier 1 Shortcode Texting, Meeting the Communication Needs of the New Generation of Help Seekers. And what we mean by Enterprise Tier 1 shortcodes is that they are provisioned with all mobile carriers in the United States. So that means complete coverage. They're also provisioned with the carriers in tow. So that means that the carriers support things like message tracking. They know the communication that goes on in the shortcodes. The shortcode that we're going to be talking about mostly today is 898.211, which was provisioned for 211 agencies. We power several shortcodes, shortcodes for all INRs of all types. If you need to, if you want to learn more about that, we're going to provide you with some contact information on how to get in touch with us and ask about how which shortcode might apply to the work that you're doing. Shortcodes are branded 5- or 6-digit numbers. They are destinations. They're not going to change. When an individual, for instance, texts 898.211, they know they're texting to 211, and their local 211 is responding to them. And that's consistent and guaranteed every time because of how it's structured and set up, the architecture of it. And that's how all of our services operate. So the shortcode is the number that individuals text to, and then they text a keyword to opt in or be routed to your site. Our shortcodes are provisioned with the carriers so that they also support and abide by CTIA and FCC communication guidelines. That means end-user privacy is fully supported. And people can opt in, they have that choice, but they can also opt out by texting stop, cancel, quit, or unsubscribe. And that has to be automated. CTI and FCC are really starting to crack down on these kinds of things. So it's important when you look at texting services that you have a look at that side of things, the privacy policies and how the service operates in regards to end-user privacy. Can an end-user opt out? Is it automated? Or do you have to monitor to opt somebody out if they don't want to be texted by you anymore? All of those things are reasons for why shortcodes are the backbone of the services that we talk about. The messaging capacity that is available is on the platform is live one-on-one texting for live help. So just the ability to receive requests for live help and respond to them and thread those conversations and have those conversations be conversations that you can count and that they exist on servers and you can access that data and that you know exactly how many encounters occur, how many text messages are within each encounter. All of the kinds of science that goes behind understanding phone conversations and understanding live help by phone also applies to text. And that's what we've, in the system, approximated is how to build a science into the art of responding to people who request live help by text. This population, as we will see in the data, has grown tremendously. We'll, in a case study, we'll actually look at some statistics that are going to be really eye-opening. Reminders and auto-responses keywords, so the ability to send out group messages, the ability to alert individuals about events or alert individuals. Just yesterday, a client in South Dakota, 211 in South Dakota, needed to deploy an alert project or an alert service announcement for fires that broke out, a wildfire in that area. And they needed to do so that it could be on a PSA that evening, which it was, and we did, and is now several hundred, maybe even more subscribers are getting alerts about that fire, and it was mobilized overnight. So those kinds of things, being able to mobilize quickly and being able to alert individuals as groups is the reminder capacity. Surveys, pre-post, and schedulable. And that's what we're going to demo. The surveys, before we made them schedulable, they were more had to coincide with a keyword and then when somebody opts in. So having surveys start as a before a survey begins, before an encounter begins, or immediately after an encounter begins. Well, now surveys can be at any part of the encounter. Surveys can be part of the encounter to begin the encounter, or after the encounter at the close. Also, just set by a specialist or a responder. Just simply assign this survey to this client at this time, and then that client will be surveyed in that way. So being able to get at real quality data through the same medium that they might be texting you about, or we have agencies that are also using the schedulable or the survey capacity and the new ways that we're providing it to survey individuals after they've had a phone encounter. So capitalizing on the value add of texting when it comes to people being willing to respond to those kinds of questions. Text is not just preferred when it comes to sensitive subject matter and asking for help about things that are sensitive, but also with things like surveys. As I'm sure you've experienced, getting people to answer questions about the value of the service you provide is very difficult. Calling them on the phone, having them answer the phone, leaving voicemails, trying to get through to them to have them, to survey them is becoming an increasingly difficult project to do. And you can spend a lot of time doing it, and a lot of at a high cost. And so migrating, not changing the model, but migrating the survey to text is really helping a lot of agencies free up that data, because people are more willing to respond when it's by text. Reminder series, so the ability to create educational text message experiences. Group messages, the ability to ad hoc or build groups just like you build email listservs, and then send those groups text messages. And then appointment reminders, setting appointment reminders for missed appointments or setting appointment reminders for future appointments. So the case study we're going to talk about is United Way 211 in Atlanta has been live since early 2015, and they share their processes and experiences using the PreventionPays platform. The soft launch was in April 2015, and they received over 200 unique requests for help. And they were able to control the use rates simply by how they promoted the service. So initially, their soft launch just used social media, the Twitter and Facebook, which, as you know, is temporal. You put a Facebook post up, and it goes down the list, and it's gone the same way Twitter feed, it goes away. Nothing permanent. When you put it on your website, of course, that's something different. A static website or a page where they're going to land and see the call to action, which we'll look at what the call to action is. And in the 211 model for live health, it's text your zip code to 898211. And so in April 2015, they added it to their home page. And that's when they really started to see the increases in the use rates. Use rates have continued to climb steadily. June, July, and then today they're responding to over 4,500 unique encounters per month. So you can see the growth rate. I mean, from April 2015 to today is just tremendous growth. And there is no projected ceiling. I mean, I guess you could do some projections as far as the population and so forth. But the use rates for text are they keep going up because that user base is expanding all the time. More and more people are either adopting it, or more and more people are entering into the space where they need help and have families and are in a place where, and those individuals, the Gen Ys, are now getting into social services. And that group is coming to social services with expectations that they should be able to text. And so it's that group that's really defining, expanding this population user base. And the buzz, so INR specialists. What are INR specialists at 211 Atlanta saying? They prefer text over all of the mediums, chat, email, and phone. All specialists are very comfortable using the platform. Compared to chat and other services, using the system is a lot easier. End users and clients, what are they saying? We received very positive feedback from the public. People love the convenience of being able to text for live help. And here's some quotes. Thank you for all your help. I think this is a great thing, which is providing help for people in need. Thank you again. Love this option. Text, thanks. This is so much better than being on hold. Great service. So that's, and putting it in your IVR, letting people know when they're on hold that they can text you. It's a great idea. You know, a great way to bridge individuals over to text. Very prompt and great service, would highly recommend. So it's bringing sort of an invigorating new life to the experience that not just specialists are having in the way in which they're interacting with the client, but also end users are really coming to this 211 and with the excitement that they can, you know, access this information, that this information is for them, and they're very willing to share their experience and report back and praise them for having this service. So very vocal. After all, it's a written medium. Therefore, you know, they can write things like, you know, thank you, and then it's part of the record. And so, you know, they can look at that. And there's you know, a whole understanding just in that alone of what that represents for somebody who's responding to live help. You know, seeing it written versus hearing it. And what does that mean? So what is the verdict? Texting is extremely popular among our clients. This is from their executive director at 211 Atlanta. They prefer to text over chat, email, or even calling us. While calling, chatting, and emails are all declining, text use rates just keep going up. So that's that steady and rapid increase that we're seeing across all services. We highly recommend this platform for all INR-related services or populations. They have been extremely responsive to all of our needs. Who to contact? So you are welcome to contact directly any of the individuals here. Marielle Botero is handled the launch and the training. And she uses the train the trainer model, which is working very well. It might not be the best model for your agency. You might choose to utilize training strategies that support, like we have GoToMeeting training that we provide agencies, small group. We do admin trainings versus frontline staff training, you know, very different things that they're doing, so therefore separate and make distinctions between those trainings. But also utilizing, you know, the staff, and some staff will become very skilled at using the system and the service, and therefore they might become of value to you in the training area, new staff. And then Donna is the Vice President, United Way 211, and she can also be reached. Share email and phone number, and please reach out and ask any questions you'd like about their processes so far and how they've launched and how they're training and all of that. All right. And I'll send you the copy of these slides. Everyone will get a copy of these slides. Everyone's going to get a copy. Also, we'll send you a link of this recording. So here's some texting trends. This is some recent data according to Pew Research. So 83% of American adults own cell phones, and 3/4 of them, roughly 73%, send and receive text messages on a daily basis. So that's pretty good penetration when you talk about 83% of adults, and then 73% of them are texting daily. Americans under 55 now text more than they talk on the phone and email combined. Over 70% of Americans prefer text over phone for live help. So that, if given the option, they would prefer for simple things like getting help with a device or getting help with information troubleshooting service, quick, easy ways, particularly social services and getting help with finding healthcare, things like that. If they could text versus making a phone call, they would prefer. And that's that Gen Y. That's that group that you can hardly get on the phone anymore. Over 98% of texts are open in the first 5 minutes, so tremendously high read rates. By contrast, if you work on Twitter at all, 80% of all tweets get ignored. So you know, as far as what capacity you have with text, you know, people are very particular about who they let text them. Therefore, when they get text, they read them at high rates. If we were getting a bunch of junk text all the time, that rate would go way down. But it's not that way. We're very particular about who we text with. 80% of all web browsing in the United States is happening on smartphones. 80% of all web browsing in the United States is happening on smartphones. So that means that end users are not buying home internet. The public is not buying home internet service. Instead, they're utilizing their smartphone for all of their web browsing. That's why the data plans are such a profit center. That's why all of the advertising on cell phone carriers is about data plans. Contact centers pay. So if you're texting with a client and you're sending them information that has links in it, there's a good chance that they're going to be able to access that link in that website right then and there in the moment through their smartphone. Contact centers pay on average 80 cents per text encounter, whereas a call can cost as much as $20. So cost savings, there's potential tremendous cost savings that are just now starting to be explored and understood. Individuals prefer text when dealing with sensitive subjects, and that is out of research in several universities, University of Michigan, University of Minnesota, School of Epidemiology, University of Berkeley, have all looked at what it means to text when you have sensitive subjects that you're dealing with. So crisis, of course, but also if you have to divulge information about financial matters, if you have to divulge information about sensitive subjects related to your family health, all of those things would fall under that category where individuals would prefer to be able to text. Now, also, you don't know where the individual might be. They might be in public when you're asking them those sensitive questions like about how much money they make, or all of those types of questions that make them or determine whether or not they're eligible for particular referrals or services. All those issues can be potentially sensitive, and therefore, if somebody's in public, they're really going to appreciate being able to text rather than speak about those things. So what is the call to action? A call to action is what your community will need to text in order to reach you and start getting texts from your agency. So whether they're going to get alerts from you, like that Fire Alert project, signing up, registering, texting the keyword that then starts to get those alerts, or start a conversation, right? So in the INR model with 211s, it's text your zip code to 88211. It might be another keyword. This model here is text 121 help 20121. So they're texting the keyword 121 help to 20121. The short code is 20121. And that's how they're getting in touch with a crisis worker. Gen Y women, and here's a call to action, right? This is an example of a call to action, a web banner that can be placed on a website. So just as you notify the public that they can call you, you could also notify the public that they would be able to text you. If you don't, then they won't know, and your live help there won't be any requests for live help. It's simple as that. A call to action is what people need to know in order to text you. And interesting, this Gen Y women text more than any other group, and those statistics have come out of WIC and USDA research. A lot of research on young, particularly young Latino women text more than any other group in the United States. Americans under 55 text more than they talk on the phone and email combined, so we talked about that. the over 55 segment is the fastest growing. That's an interesting statistic. So that it's the over 55 that's the fastest growing right now. And, that might be to catch up with their children. Learn, for instance, in my personal life, when my parents started texting me out of the blue, wanting to know about their grandchildren, that's when I knew it's changed. The gap has changed. Seniors are texting and at increasingly higher rates. The next gen help seeker is already here, so they're among us. They're walking among us now. And turning on texting at your agency will make a tremendous difference in the reach that you have and your ability and capacity to continue to provide services to the next gen population. Message tracking. We won't go too deep into this, but message tracking is supported under the Tier 1 shortcode structure. So as an option, we developed message tracking that's carrier supported, which simply means that every message that you send out is tracked and reported back by the carriers themselves. So for instance, if you have AT&T and you send a text message from the system to your phone, AT&T will report back. First, they'll acknowledge receipt of the message. We got it. It's hit our gateway. And then when they actually deliver it to your mobile phone, then one more delivery receipt will come that says it was delivered to the handset, the mobile handset. And so then you've got confirmation that's pretty rock solid that the message was delivered. If the message is unable to be delivered, then we employ an auto retry process. So every 5 minutes, as long as the carrier keeps reporting that it can be retried, the system will automatically retry. So you don't have to send messages out in vain or copy and paste and resend messages or do anything like that. You're going to know the status of that message, and if it's retriable, the system will be doing that for you. So you can move on to another case or whatever, and let that work itself out. And then return when the client responds to the question that then did get delivered. 99.9% of the time, messages are acknowledged and delivered, and you never bump into this. But in the moments that you do, where somebody is out of cell phone coverage or temporarily unable, going through a tunnel or in the mountains, driving through the mountains, or all kinds of reasons for why somebody might momentarily not be able to receive a text message. And so it's good to have that kind of system in place. Also, just forensically, being able to look back over if something does go wrong and then report back. This is what we know to be true. This is what happened. This person got out of cell phone coverage at this time. This is why these messages failed. Okay, so we're going to start a live demo now, and you're welcome to participate along. It's a simple demonstration. We're going to do some automatic surveys and show the opt-in and how it looks. You can text stop afterwards and opt out. Your number will be displayed, though, on the screen. So if you don't want your number to be displayed or somebody else to see your mobile number that's on this demonstration, then don't do the demonstration. And you can try so in your own time. So for this demonstration, you're just simply going to open up your texting application, and you're going to address the 898211 short code. So rather than putting in a mobile phone number, 10-digit phone number, you're putting in 898211. And then in the message, you're going to text the keyword 00022, 3 zeros, 22. And then you're going to go ahead and click send. And that's going to opt you in and send you an automatic opt-in message. And that's going to start the process we're going to show you. So this is what it looks like in your phone, right? You're texting to 898211. So rather than a name of the person or the phone number here, it's the short code that you're texting to. And then here is the keyword. And this is with an iPhone. So you might have an Android and it might look slightly different. But this is where you would be putting in that keyword. And I'm going to go ahead and opt in as well. So I'm opening up my texting app, and I'm going to be sending 0002228982111. And let's jump over to the user interface. All right, so when you log into the user interface, you use your discrete login credentials, so an email address and password. That gets you into your queue. When you're in the queue, you can then begin to communicate with individuals who have opted in. So for instance, I can click on this case here. This is my phone number, and I can see that this person texted 0002 and then got this automatic message back. Thank you for texting us. Now, of course, my phone number has all kinds of history, right? I've done a lot of demoing and testing. So I see all of that. And that's another characteristic of the service that really makes it unique is that we're stringing together all conversations because individuals return by text at 60% or higher rates. That's the data that's coming back. 60% or higher return rates, which is really phenomenal. That means that having a complete record of all of the communications that happen with an individual over time is a really good policy and a good way to have really good records of everything that happens, being able to look back over, being able to store information that's tied to each case. So over here, you have the characteristics that are tied to the case you're looking at. So the queue is similar to an email inbox. The live conversation, or the back and forth, or the group messages that get sent to the end user, all populate here, and that's similar to instant messaging. So if you're concerned about training, if people have experience with email and they have experience with instant messaging, they usually take well to this. So, and if they've done texting with their family and friends, then all of those experiences combined tend to lend well to a pretty solid understanding and quick learning curve. Now, I've got a survey that's going to trigger based on just opening a case. So we can now trigger a survey to be at a triggering event like the opening of a case or closing of a case, or based on somebody just simply texting a keyword and opting in, right? Survey everybody, send the survey to everybody. In this instance, though, I set up a survey to trigger based on simply just opening up the case. So, as a specialist, I can click Open, and then I'm going to see, I can scroll down here, and I can actually see User Currently in Survey, Opt-in Survey. So this is to obtain the reason for why they texted us today. This is all happening in an automated way. I'm going to open this one as well, get this one started. And then I'll get this one started. And I'll get this one started. All right, so I have 4 tests all open and now in, are in the active pre-screen process. So what we're trying to figure out in an automated way is what issue they're texting about. Now, of course, I'm handling 4 cases at one time. Highly unlikely that it would be this kind of, but I mean, in really busy sites, potentially having concurrent cases is very common. But as you can see, you can handle concurrent cases. It's all policies and how you determine and the ways in which you want to operate as an agency and what limits you want to put on what a specialist or how a responder would be responding to the number of concurrent cases. But the service isn't going to prevent you from handling concurrent cases and dealing with individuals in a way that's across several at one time. Now, I'm going to focus on just this one case here, my phone number, because I want to show you some things here on what happens next. So, I've got the text saying, how can I help you? This all happened in an automated way. This text is asking me to text 1 for food service, 2 for housing, 3 for medical or healthcare, 4 for utility help, 5 for child services, 6 for all other issues. Now this all customizable. You might have high contact issues that you just want to screen them about that have nothing have nothing to do with what we're seeing here. So the capacity or the customization is unlimited as far as what questions you ask and the content of those questions. I'm going to respond back. Food service. Okay. So now that comes into the queue, and a final answer goes back, all automated, pushes back, letting you know specialist will reply shortly. Okay. So here I am, I'm a specialist, I'm open on this case. I now know that this individual texted 1 for food service. So based on that response, I can then assign another survey to ask them more details about that request, or I can go on and begin a live conversation. So I have that option. And in this demonstration, I want to show you what stacking surveys is all about. So if I know this client needs information about food service, well, I've got an example here that we're going to look at. This example is a food bank screener. And this food bank screener, this particular one, is being used in Wisconsin, a 211 Wisconsin. And it's a very elaborate survey, as you will see. It has several questions. But it'll give you an idea of the capacity that's there. So let's say I want this to start right away. I wouldn't put in any delay here. I would just put in the plus, screen plus. So now I've got this survey happening right now, the food bank screener, and with the client that I'm working in. And so here it goes. And this is all automated. It's all happening in an automated way. So I've got the text message that says hi. And remember, this is an example of a Wisconsin 211 screener for food bank assistance. So, hi, are you a Milwaukee County resident? For yes, text Y. For no, text in. Okay? So I'm going to say yes, I am. If I wasn't, then I would be sent out and told that I need to contact either call 211 if I need further assistance, or text my zip code to get additional help or live help. So I'm going to say yes. So now what I've done is I respond to that all automated way. Here's the next question in the survey. And I can be working, if I'm a specialist, I can be working on another case while this happens. This can all be going on while I'm working in another case. So my next question is, have you been to any food pantry in the past 3 days? Reply Y or in now. I'm actually going to say no. I haven't. Now, again, they've got a rule in place in this particular agency where you can't get a food bank assistance in more than a 3-day span of time. I'm going to say no. Or under a 3-day span of time. Okay, the next question is, are you male, female, or other? Please text 1 for male, 2 for female, 3 for other. Okay, please text your age now. Please use numbers, not words. What you're seeing there is when it updates here, and it's grayed out initially, and then it updates with a timestamp and delivers, that's the carrier tracking it and delivering it. So that when it gets the timestamp, that means that it was actually delivered to the handset. How many people do you have in your household? Okay, so now it asks me to text my zip code. So I'm going to use 53205. 53205, which is one of the zip codes in their covered area. Please choose the day of week you would like to go, right? So going down right to, because their structure has that kind of support so that you can choose not just by zip code, but by day of week of when you want to go. And then you would get referrals that would be specific to the zip code and the day of week that you want to go. So I'm going to text. Okay, and then there it is. If you've been, the final message goes out, if you've been to one of these pantries in the last 30 days, please pick another to visit or dial 211 for info. Thank you. We will send you referrals shortly. And now I've got the referral, it's for a food pantry in Milwaukee, and it's for that Wednesday that I selected. So that is an instance where an individual can opt in, be screened for their issue, and then get a screener that is fully automated that gets them through to the point where a referral is given. An additional message can go out that then lets them know that if they need live help or further assistance, they can either call 211 or they can text their zip code to initiate a conversation, or just text a question and initiate a conversation. But if I'm a specialist and I've gotten and I see that this person got all the way through their need and that there is no further request for information, I can go ahead and close out this case. And if I've got a post-encounter survey associated to the close of the case, which I do, I've set that up, then that's what the individual will be automatically surveyed about that. Now, of course, survey overkill, right? I mean, this is just examples of all the ways that you can be of assistance to a client in utilizing these survey tools in strategic ways. Several agencies are looking at post-encounter surveys to see whether or not they actually got the help that you provided them. 1 week, 2 weeks out, did you get the help from these agencies that we sent you to? And if so, was it helpful? Would you use the service again? All of those types of questions are all being gathered and utilized for extremely helpful data that is shedding new light on the capacity that INRs are providing. Because when people are able to text us in survey questions, respond to survey questions by text, they're also much less likely to satisfy, which is a phenomenon that goes along with phone surveys. People want you to be pleased with them. They want to get off the phone as quickly as possible, and so they tend to satisfy or answer in ways that you want them to. With text, they're going to be much more honest, forthright, and they're also more inclined to respond. All right. Now, clicking on this case. Now, there are other surveys that I can assign. So if I click on this case, I can assign a sample post-encounter survey so you can see what that looks like. So this was developed or supported by an agency utilizing survey tools and in United Way Cleveland 211, and they developed this particular tool, which I've sent out to this phone number, which you can go ahead and respond to at your leisure. But as you can see, assignable surveys are amazing tools to get you through encounters, to move you through encounters in particular a very quick way. course, the live two-way conversation is always available to you. So here, look at this. This person responded 6 for all of their issues. So they didn't respond to one of the issues that we were provided in the question. So based on your response 6 other, it looks like you need help with something that wasn't in the list. Is that correct? Okay. So then I use canned messages over here to begin a conversation with this one, because they didn't respond in a way maybe that either I had a survey for or that there was some other protocol that I had in place. This is going to take my attention now as in a live conversation way. So now I'm in a live conversation with this individual, and then I can utilize these canned messages to go ahead and help me through that. So canned messages are also wonderful tools in the live conversation model to just help you get through encounters. And what's an encounter? Well, an encounter needs to have 3 parts. An encounter needs to have a request for help, somebody asking for support, INR support, and then an agent opening up the case, or the responder opening up the case, sending out an outgoing message, and then closing that case. And so all of those characteristics would determine that that is an encounter in the system. And that's how we define an encounter. So being in progress, for instance, this is the conversation status. Being in progress just means that I've initiated a conversation with the client. Open the case here. I've opened the case. I've opened the case here. In this instance, I've initiated a conversation. I can toggle between cases based on their food response. This one, the 228, I can assign that screener, the food bank screener, if I wanted to. But that's a long screener. But yeah, the food bank screener, because they indicated 1. And let me click over here. So the 574 sent back 3. So based on the response 3, here's healthcare. I put these out of order. It's not. It should be out of in order. So 3, medical healthcare. So based on your response, I see that you are texting about healthcare medical services. There you go. These should be in the order of the way in which somebody would respond or logically think. I also would, redoing this, I would put in the number to remind the agent of the number that they're seeing here, if we're going to use numbering system to determine what issue they're texting about. Lots of things. Also, additionally, multiple canned libraries available. So even right down to the specialist. So specialists can have a canned library that just they use and have access to and see. Then, of course, libraries that could be used that are situational, seasonal, all kinds of reasons for why you might need a specialized canned message library for particular issues. And toggling between multiple canned libraries is just a pull-down menu. These data markers, what you see here, are all just things that you fill out that help you identify quickly what issue or what particular things you need to know about each case. Particularly as an individual gets more and more help over time, it's nice to have some of these things filled out over here so that a specialist can quickly determine this is where we're at with this case. And when I update a data marker, it just saves and timestamps it for me, so I don't have to do any of that. And then all of your data is sortable. Sortable by the survey responses, sortable by data markers. You can send content to groups of people based on data markers. So you can have delayed referrals that go out or information that goes out at a later time, and your associating individuals or grouping individuals together to get that information. And how you're grouping them is to sort them by the data marker. Data marker. So, you know, just like Google search, as you get closer and closer to the target, it can identify which one I'm working on or which one I'm talking about. Then I can just add those and save it. And this could be a delayed referral for healthcare-related services. 2 clients that I worked on earlier in the day, now building a small group that then I send text to. Surveys, scheduling them, sending them, very easy to do. Exit surveys. You might not want to survey everybody after an encounter. So you may have protocol in place where every 4th case you survey. And then in that instance, you're going to want specialists to know what they're doing and assign those surveys accordingly. So you see a lot of options here. You know, you can have multiple survey tools that you have available as assignable. You can also determine what is assignable and what isn't. So you might have one survey that's automated, fully automated, that is based on when somebody opts in, and that's not an assignable survey. Whereas with an exit survey, it might be assignable and something that you train to. Specialist, before you close the case, assign this exit survey. Right. Or what we've got is when I close each one of these cases, at the close of each case, they're going to get that exit survey. So close. And close. And there you go. And the surveys, like I was saying earlier, they're all happening, and they're happening independent. So let's say I have a survey that's scheduled to go out 2 weeks from an encounter. The case is closed and long gone. It's archived. But that survey is going to happen. And that will be visible if you look at the case. If you pull up that case and look at it, you'll see it. And if you happen to be viewing the case when the survey fires, then you'll actually see the survey unfold. But it's not going to, surveys are not, post-encounter shifts, those types of surveys are not going to impact the queue the way requests for live health do. So you close the case, they get the survey, but it's not updating the queue the way requests for live health. So when somebody texts and has a live conversation, you're seeing those messages popping up and updating and alerting you. And with the survey, though, those are all going to happen independently. But if you look at a case, pull up the case, you can actually see it as it unfolds. Okay, let me see here. We looked at that. We looked at a lot of things. Here's contact information. Let me see here. I want to click over to. I'm going to hang out and answer some questions as well. If you have questions, we have a few minutes for questions. I want to make sure we respect the hour that we're at. This is the contact, we're coming up on the hour. This is the contact information for us. My name's Jonathan. I'm with Educational Message Service PreventionPays Text. PreventionPays Text is available for INRs of all types. The website, PreventionPays Text, is here. You can contact us for a demo. No obligation demo at any time, all just by simply emailing us. We've been highlighted the last several AIRS conferences, 2013, 2014, 2015, again 2016 St. Louis. Some of you guys we saw there. And welcome today, by the way, and thank you. And thank you for stopping in and checking out some of these new tools and capacity. We're very excited about these assignable surveys. I mean, it's really going to help out the industry a lot. Okay, if you have any questions, I'm going to hang out for a few moments and answer them. Thank you for your time. You can go ahead and write in your questions. If you have questions, go ahead and write them in now.